Slide title: An Introduction to the Strengthening the Implementation of Marriage and Relationship Programs, SIMR Project. August 3rd, 2020. The project logo is displayed, along with logos for OPRE, the Office of Family Assistance, the Healthy Marriage and Responsible Fatherhood Program, OPRE, Public Strategies, and Mathematica.
Welcome to our webinar today on the strengthening the implementation of marriage and relationship programs. Today we're going to provide an introduction to this project and give you some more information and have some time for questions at the end. So to introduce myself, my name is Samantha Ilonga-Segra. I am the project officer for this project. I'll wait till this slide advances.
Slide title: Introductions and Agenda. Icons representing a light bulb, an arrow and a target's bullseye, a handshake, and a heartbeat inside a magnifying glass are displayed with text for each topic that reads: Project Motivation, Goals of SIMR, Working with Sites, Highlights from Early Activities, and Questions.
Great. So I'm the project officer for the SIMR project. I am at the Office of Planning, Research, and Evaluation at the Administration for Children and Families. And we have been working with researchers at Mathematica and Public Strategies to start this really exciting project. And today we have the opportunity to talk to you all about it. As you can see on this slide, we're going to tell you a little bit about the motivation for our project. Go over some of the goals of the SIMR project, talk a little bit about how we plan to work with sites, the Healthy Marriage and Relationship Education programs, and then talk about some of the highlights from our early activities on this project, and then leave time at the end to answer some of your questions.
Slide title: Project Motivation. A light bulb icon is displayed.
Okay, so we are going to talk a little bit about the motivation for our project, and to do that, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Shirley Adelstein, who can introduce herself and tell you a little bit more about SIMR.
Thank you, Sam. Welcome, everyone. My name is Shirley Adelstein. I oversee the SIMR project together with Sam in the Office of Planning, Research, and Evaluation. Before we dive into the details of the project with the project team, we just wanted to take a moment to explain some background on the motivation for this work.
Slide title: Background on Federal Healthy Marriage and Relationship Education, HMRE, grants. Discussion points are outlined on screen. An icon of a building with pillars is displayed.
The federal government has a strong interest in the success of programs that promote healthy relationships. We know now from a substantial body of research that low conflict, stable relationships provide numerous benefits for individuals, for children, for families. Since 2006, in recognition of that, Congress has authorized dedicated funding for programs to engage in healthy marriage and relationship education services. The Office of Family Assistance, located in the Administration for Children and Families, distributes that funding through competitively awarded multi-year grants to organizations around the country. The first round of such grants was awarded in 2006. There have been 3 rounds since then, and we expect a 4th round to be awarded later this year. The programs that are funded provide services for a range of populations. That includes high school-aged youth, adult individuals, and married and unmarried adult couples. The current group of grantees includes a number of different types of organizations as well, and that includes small nonprofits, large multi-service agencies, and universities.
Slide title: Prior HMRE grants. Discussion points are outlined on screen. An icon representing a stack of books is displayed.
Since the first cohort of HMRE grants was awarded, the Office of Planning, Research, and Evaluation has partnered closely with the Office of Family Assistance to conduct research on federal HMRE programs. That includes several large-scale randomized and quasi-experimental evaluations. In addition, as part of their grants, there is a subset of current grantees and their independent evaluators who are engaging in some grantee-specific evaluations of HMRE programs. Now, to date, a lot of that research is focused on program impact. Research has produced some interesting but also mixed results, in part because they've surfaced a number of implementation challenges that can make it difficult for programs both to conduct rigorous, reliable impact evaluation and to achieve desired outcomes of those programs. Although we now have research suggesting that those challenges are widespread, we don't have a lot of evidence on the effectiveness of potential solutions to address them. The SIMR project was developed to address that gap.
Slide title: Motivation for SIMR. Discussion points are outlined on screen. An icon representing a person with a thought bubble is displayed. An icon of a light bulb is inside the thought bubble.
SIMR is motivated by an interest in three things. First, we hope to support programs to address common implementation challenges. Second, we hope to inform the HMRE field more broadly by building the evidence base on program implementation, which is currently relatively limited. And finally, by advancing our knowledge of implementation challenges and solutions, we hope to promote programs' readiness for impact evaluations that examine program effectiveness. With that, I'll turn it over to our project team to give you some additional details about the SIMR project.
Slide title: Goals of SIMR. An icon representing an arrow and a target's bullseye is displayed.
Hey, hi everyone. My name is Dan Friend. I'm in the Chicago office of Mathematica, and I am Deputy Project Director for SIMR. We have several other members of our SIMR team on the phone. We have our Project Director, Robert Wood, our Principal Investigator, Quinn Moore, as well as members from the Public Strategies team, Lauren Maddox, who's our Project Manager for Public Strategies, and Mary Myrick as well are on the call. So I'll take you through the rest of the presentation today. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the goals and objectives of SIMR. We'll go through what it will be like to be a participating site in SIMR and tell you a little bit about how that will unfold. And then I'll end talking about some of our early findings from our activities. And then, of course, we'll have time for question and answer at the end. So as you get questions, feel free to, again, chat them to Rebecca, who is the host, in that bottom corner of your screen.
Slide title: Key goals of SIMR. Icons representing a magnifying glass, a silhouette of a person's head with two gears inside, and a handshake are displayed above outlined discussion points.
SIMR has three goals. The first is to identify key or common implementation challenges facing healthy marriage and relationship education programs. You'll hear me call it HMRE for the rest of the presentation, just for simplicity. But in addition to identifying those key implementation challenges, we also identified solutions that could potentially address those implementation challenges. The second goal of SIMR is to test those solutions and select grantees in that fourth round of HMRE funding from OFA that Shirley talked about previously. And we'll test those using some rapid learning techniques. And I'll go through both the rapid learning techniques and talk about some of our challenges and solutions later in the presentation. And finally, our third goal is to really conduct this work in close collaboration with our participating sites. We really feel strongly that the best work will result when we conduct this project together, combining our research knowledge, public strategies, technical assistance, and then anchoring all of that into the practical experience of the people operating the programs.
Slide title: Improve HMRE programs for a range of populations. Three rectangles with icons representing couples, adult individuals, and youth are displayed.
As Shirley hinted at, HMRE programs serve a range of populations, and for this project, we're focusing on these three. The first is adult couples, so these are people who are recruited into an HMRE program together and expected to attend the core service, which is a workshop, together as a couple. We have adult individuals. These are people who may or may not be in romantic relationships, but even if they are, they generally attend without a partner. And finally, we have youth, looking at youth in both an in-school setting and an out-of-school setting, or you can think of this as operating from a community-based organization. So those are the three that we are focusing on for SIMR.
Slide title: Test solutions designed to address common implementation challenges. 3 icons representing a magnifying glass with people inside, an upward angling arrow with 3 people above it, and 3 people with a large thought bubble above them are displayed above the outlined discussion topics of recruitment, retention, and content engagement.
SIMR also focuses on 3 implementation areas, those being recruitment, retention, and content engagement. You can think of recruitment as everything that leads up to a person being enrolled in a program. So how are programs identifying participants? How are they marketing or outreaching to them? What are their intake or enrollment procedures? Everything that gets them up to that point where they can be served. From there, we move to retention, which is participation. Are they showing up for their first session? Do they consistently attend afterwards? How many are completing? So this is simply an attendance metric. And finally, we have content engagement. So if retention is simply showing up, attending, this is actually participating. It's the active participation part. Are they attending to the content of the program? Are they finding the services relevant to them and interesting? Are they actively participating, or are they sitting there checked out? So that's engaging with that so they absorb that content and can gain the knowledge and use the skills.
Slide title: Where are we in the process? A graphic is displayed containing 5 boxes outlining the steps in the process, with a large arrow behind them pointing to the right. A small arrow points in between the boxes for the design phase and the site selection phase with the text, "We are here."
There's a host of activities that we're undertaking in SIMR that all are sequential and build off of each other. So we started this project in late 2019, and we began identifying challenges and their possible solutions. And I'll go through that process a little bit later. Once we had our big list, we culled through them and prioritized some of the challenges some of the solutions to specifically test and examine in SIMR. And right now we're in the middle of our design phase. We are doing all of our rapid cycle designing for all the solutions we've prioritized. So once we finish that, we'll begin our site selection process this fall and begin working closely, again, that collaboration with program leadership and other staff to understand their programs, select the solutions that might be relevant, begin tailoring those solutions to the program. Also, the programs participating in SIMR can start their rapid learning cycles in early 2021. Those will take about a year, and at the end, obviously, we'll have some reporting and some public reports that come out for the results. Something key that I'd like to point out, we do have an expert panel that consists of HMRE researchers and practitioners, some of which are current grantees, as well as experts from adjacent fields, those being parenting, responsible fatherhood, positive youth development. We've engaged them throughout the project activities we conducted so far, and we'll continue to engage them throughout the life cycle of SIMR as a whole. Additionally, we've also engaged many stakeholder groups, and we'll have additional dissemination activities like this one as we proceed through the project.
Slide title: Principles that guide our work on SIMR. 4 icons with the discussion points are displayed. The icons represent a handshake for collaboration, an icon of 3 arrows forming a circle for rapid cycle learning, an icon of a person teaching a class for perspectives of staff and participants, and an icon of a wrench and screwdriver for flexibility.
We have 4 core principles that are guiding all of these activities. And one I've touched on with one of our goals. We believe that collaboration between content experts and practice experts is going to yield those best results, so that coming up with evidence-informed solutions and infusing them with the practicality and the wisdom at that program level is going to yield, or hopefully yield, really good implementation solutions. Additionally, rapid cycle learning is a very effective way to pilot and refine those solutions. And I'll touch on what that means in the next section here. But basically, we're going to start small. We're going to pilot with a small amount of staff. and then we'll move up to larger groups of staff as something becomes effective, or we're going to go back to the drawing board together and figure it out. But it's all quick. It's all quick wins, and we talk about focus on failing fast, so identifying what's not working quickly and changing it. Another key principle is that staff and participants need to be at the center of our solutions. Staff are the people, particularly frontline staff, are the people implementing these solutions, getting their buy-in, getting their perspective, understanding their challenges and their resource needs is really crucial for this. Additionally, participants are at the center of programs, and they need to be at the center of this project. They're going to be the eventual benefactors of any solution that improves program quality. So keeping them in mind and at the heart of this project is very important. And our final thing is flexibility. We want to be flexible in the solutions that we test. We want to be flexible in how we test them, how we implement them, how we go about these cycles and the design. I think we know from experience that best laid plans go to waste sometimes. So really thinking through and being flexible and working collaboratively with the site is at the core of the SIMR project.
Slide title, Working with Programs. An icon representing a handshake is displayed.
So we'll switch a little bit and talk about what it will be like for programs participating in SIMR, really focusing on some of that rapid learning techniques that I touched on earlier.
Slide title, Rapid Learning Cycles to Test and Refine Solutions Using LI Squared. A circular flowchart of 3 arrows is displayed with a circle at the top with text that reads, Learn, a circle in the lower right with text that reads, Innovate, and a circle in the lower left with text that reads, Improve. Discussion points are outlined on screen.
So we're using the Learn, Innovate, and Improve, or LI Squared framework to drive our rapid learning cycles. And LI Squared is a framework that puts together, in this case, our SIMR team with our program leadership and staff to collaboratively understand the program, identify challenges, and then form solutions to those challenges that we road test. Again, going back to our third pillar, our third goal, working together, working collaboratively together. LI Squared really fosters that. It's very important for this process. Additionally, throughout the LI Squared process, our activities, interactive activities that are designed to have program staff and the SIMR team think very critically about the challenges and think very critically about the solutions that we can identify and refine to address those challenges. There are 3 core phases in LI Squared, and the first is this learn phase. So during this phase, the SIMR team is going to meet with program staff across all levels, and we are going to engage in a set of activities to really understand what challenges the program is facing or might be facing. We could have a new program that's not really sure what they'll face, but these activities are designed to have people think about the maybes or the potentialities and to dig deeper into what's driving those challenges or barriers. So if someone says, hey, we have trouble recruiting men, the activities we use during this process are going to identify the root causes or the drivers. What is it that specifically makes it hard to recruit men? And then that way we can better pinpoint solutions that will most likely be effective there. The second phase is innovate. Again, this involves collaboration between SIMR staff and program staff through another set of interactive activities designed to match the solutions we've identified with the challenges that we've identified in the learn phase. And from there, we then tailor those solutions to the specific context of the program and the target population they intend to serve. So once we have that, we go into the improve phase. And the improve phase is really the heart of the rapid learning cycles here. And what we do is we initiate small road tests that increase with complexity based on the results of an initial test. So what that looks like, we've got a solution, we roll it out to maybe 1 or 2 staff members, and then they attempt that solution for a couple weeks. We then get feedback from that staff about what worked well for them, what did they like, and what didn't they like. And then together, we decide if this solution was successful or not successful. And if it is successful, we then roll that solution out to a larger portion of staff. Maybe they implement it for slightly longer, and then we collect additional data. Maybe this time we also get participant data. We get some focus groups from participants as well as interviews with new staff. Maybe it's successful then and we roll it out to even more staff. And then the next time we use data from a management information system to assess program service delivery quality. So it increases with complexity as you see success. Now, if something isn't successful, we stop. We fail fast again, and we go back to those learn phases. And we come back together as a group, and we again dissect it. What didn't work? And we go through the innovate again. What can we change and do better? And then we try that road test all over again.
Slide title: Potential benefits of participating in SIMR. Icons representing a bar chart with an arrow pointing up, 3 arrows forming a circle, a light bulb, and a silhouette of a person's head with 2 gears inside are displayed above text that outlines the discussion points.
So for programs that like to participate in SIMR, there are a couple of really good benefits here that I'd like to highlight. The first, it allows you to improve your program quickly and efficiently. This LA squared process really is going to allow you to pop that hood in the learn phase, identify what you know you're going to face, and also think about the future. What might you face that you might not have thought through all the way yet? And form a solution that'll kind of cut that off at the head, hopefully. And then that should improve your overall program quality, your implementation quality, which will also hopefully improve you achieving your intended participant outcomes, which can really help with either a local evaluation or a larger federally funded evaluation. It gets at some of those implementation quality issues that Shirley touched on earlier in the presentation. LI Squared also allows for a tailored solution to your program. SIMR isn't really offering plug-and-play solutions. We have evidence-formed solutions, and we're going to, again, infuse it with the context of the site. We're going to understand your program and who you serve and tailor each solution accordingly. So hopefully it is very effective for dealing with your challenges. You also have the opportunity to work side by side with SIMR researchers. That includes people from Mathematica and TA providers from Public Strategies. No one's on a lonely island here. We're going to help everyone as they implement the solution. And also they'll build capacity of other program staff. You're going to learn rapid cycle methods, and you're going to have the chance to do that for yourself as well once SIMR is over. And finally, also as Shirley pointed out, there's not a ton of research on implementation among HMRE programs. So this is programs' opportunity to improve the field, help other programs that are likely experiencing the same challenges that they are themselves.
Slide title: Programs will work alongside the SIMR team. Icons representing 3 people with a light bulb above them and a silhouette of a person with a telephone headset are displayed above text that outlines the discussion points.
As I mentioned, again, going back to collaboration, we're taking a team approach to all of this rapid learning. So each site, each program is going to have a 3-person team of SIMR staff. You'll have a researcher from Mathematica, a TPA provider from Public Strategies, and then a support staff person from either organization. And then at the program level, we'll ask programs to form an implementation team of a couple staff members, depending on the size of the program and how complex the implementation solution is. And that team will work really closely together to implement and monitor the solution, and then collect and look at the data and help decide what's successful and what's not successful. You'll also have support through regular phone calls, and site visits in person or virtual, and then again, engage in that consistent strategic planning, go through the learn and innovate cycles, debrief after each rapid learning cycle to again, figure out what's working or what's not working.
Slide title, Highlights from Early Activities. An icon representing a heartbeat inside of a magnifying glass is displayed.
So I'll switch here and I'll highlight some of our early activities. I'll just briefly talk about our methods for identifying challenges and solutions, and delve right into our priority solutions that we're looking to test as part of SIMR. And I should note that I'm going to provide high-level review of our solutions we're testing, so feel free to ask questions at the end if you'd like more information about any solution I discussed today.
Slide title, Identifying Common Implementation Challenges and Promising Solutions. Discussion points are outlined on screen. An icon of a light bulb is displayed.
So in order to identify our challenges and solutions, we did a very comprehensive process. We did a targeted literature review of the HMRE literature and other adjacent fields. We consulted our experts multiple times. And again, our experts were composed of researchers and practitioners. We reviewed grantee performance data. We talked with federal officials, and we talked with curriculum developers. And we identified a huge list of common implementation challenges and potential solutions. I believe that we identified almost 150 solutions to challenges. So from that list, we began our prioritization process, which was a very intensive, iterative, group-based process where we mapped solutions to challenges and then did some qualitative categorization, looking at the common themes across these solutions, and came up with what we call approaches. And in the end, we identified 7 priority approaches to test in SIMR. So a little note about terminology here. An approach is what we refer to as a general strategy that deals with an implementation challenge. So it is just a pithy way to address something, gives you some clue about the type of solutions you might implement. Now, each approach has anywhere from 5 to 20 specific solutions within it. And what we feel is that this method gives a very diverse and flexible menu from any potential sites to choose from and to then tailor. So again, leaning on that flexibility, we have a wide range, as you'll see in a second, of approaches and even more of a range of solutions underneath each approach. And I should mention, too, that solutions actually can be in more than one approach. And you'll see some of that in the examples I highlight. So with that in mind, we'll get right into it.
Slide title, Potential Approach, Deliver Services Virtually. Discussion points are outlined on screen. An icon of a computer keyboard and monitor is shown.
So our first approach is delivering services virtually. So here we're really looking to leverage technology to deal with any implementation challenges. These could be challenges related to recruitment, so streamlining intake and enrollment, providing online assessments, things like that. Offering virtual content. It could be sessions that are offered asynchronously or synchronously, or virtual makeup sessions to improve participation. And using cell phone to encourage content engagement. In our review of all the data we collected, we found, particularly for youth programs, cell phones are often a distraction. So this solution really focuses on turning those cell phones into an asset versus a distraction.
Slide title, Potential Approach, Focus on Participant Relationships. Discussion points are outlined on screen. An icon representing 6 connected people is displayed.
Our second approach is focusing on participant relationships. And here we're not just concerned with staff and participant relationships, but building relationships among participants themselves. So in order to do that, looking at things like fostering good group dynamics, peer learning, anything that builds the connection between participants within a group or cohort. Also, again, establishing relationships between staff and participants, not just doing it, but making sure that sites are establishing protocols or procedures and have the proper training to nurture relationships in a healthy way. And finally, solutions focusing on developing a relationship with the organization itself. Is it seen as a trusted community organization? Does the organization foster a safe and welcoming environment?
Slide title, Potential Approach, Strengthen Recruiting. Discussion points are outlined on screen. An icon of a magnifying glass with a person inside and 2 people behind is displayed.
We have an approach dedicated to recruiting. Again, one thing we saw in our review of challenges was that a lot of programs struggle to hit their enrollment numbers, particularly when they're attached to a research program. These programs face additional challenges meeting sample size requirements and often need to recruit more participants. So this approach really just, aims to strengthen recruiting practices and hopefully improve enrollment numbers. And so solutions under this approach focus on increasing staff knowledge about their communities and their participants, not just to identify them, where are they at? Where's my target population at? But also to make sure that the services are relevant, or the way that they're marketing their services is done in a salient way. Training staff on to be better marketers or to have better interactions with potential participants. How are they speaking to potential participants in the communities? Are their marketing materials enticing to enroll? We also have solutions that focus on spreading word-of-mouth referrals to current and former participants, family, and friends. And of course, engaging recruitment-specific partnerships and forming an effective referral pipeline.
Slide title, Potential Approach, Strengthen Facilitator Training and Support. Discussion points are outlined on screen. An icon of a person teaching a class is displayed.
At the core of most HMRE programs is the facilitator. That's what most programs, their core feature is a curriculum, group-based curriculum. So that facilitator is a key component to deliver that core service. So this approach focuses on improving facilitation quality through training and support. So lots of training-based solutions here, like training facilitators on group or discussion management techniques, making sure that they are controlling or ebbing conversation or focusing conversation and discussion appropriately. Also delivering training to facilitators on various service delivery approaches, things like motivational interviewing or trauma-informed service delivery. And then making sure facilitators are well supported through quality supervision and collaboration. So collaboration not only with each other, between the facilitators themselves, but also other staff. Are they collaborating with case managers, recruiters as needed, making sure that they feel supported.
Slide title, Potential Approach, Focus on removing barriers facing participants. Discussion points are outlined on screen. An icon of a fence is displayed.
This approach really focuses on participation and enrollment barriers. Another thing we found in our data, participants often face a lot of logistical or other types of barriers that prevent them from either getting in the door or consistently coming. So we have a lot of solutions that focus on that. That could take more case management focused approaches. So how are programs conducting needs and strengths assessments? How are they forming and delivering that a service plan? Looking at the types of incentives and supports that programs offer. Are they well matched to the actual needs? Are they structured in a way that's meaningful and relevant to participants? And then looking at the flexibility of program structure, meaning things like schedule or format, right? So are we offering enough classes that we can deal with work schedule variability? Are you offering enough classes or offering classes in a virtual format as well to deal with people that might have consistent transportation variables or changing work shifts?
Slide title, Potential Approach, Use data to drive decisions and make program improvements. Discussion points are outlined on screen. An icon of a bar chart is displayed.
Our sixth approach here focuses on using data to drive decisions and make programs improvement. So a lot of the solutions here focus on creating tools, policies, procedures, or systems to collect, track, and use that data to improve service delivery. Part of these solutions focuses on leveraging data programs already collect. For those of you unfamiliar, the current programs have a common management information system called NFORM, so figuring out how to use that system and the data it collects in a more efficient way, but also figuring out if there's any additional data that programs need to collect. Do they need qualitative data from their participants or other stakeholders? Do they need secondary data sources to tell them about the community that they're operating in? And then a lot of solutions focusing on what to use that data for, to use it to assess things like service delivery quality or even partnership quality. How are you keeping track of your referrals? Are they being followed up on? Are your partners performing as to their expectation? And also using data to do things like streamlining intake or other procedures or refining your incentive policy.
Slide title, Potential Approach. Use participant-centered strategies. Discussion points are outlined on screen. An icon representing an arrow and a target's bullseye is displayed.
And our last approach here is using participant-centered strategies. So this focuses on knowing your community and your participants to ensure that the program services that you're providing are relevant to them, relevant and meaningful. So the solutions under this approach, some take a more participatory method, like obtaining information from participants or other stakeholders, and using that to either inform program design or actual implementation and service delivery. There's other training approaches, bringing back that trauma-informed care, thinking if that can promote a more participant-centered delivery, so how we're improving the actual implementation here. And then the final one is looking at the HMRE curricula that programs are providing and finding places where allowable adaptations are. So this is a little different than curriculum revisions. We're not looking to revise or develop any new curriculum for SIMR. We are looking to pinpoint where the curriculum developers have said adaptations are allowable. So help a site identify those spaces and then think through how to do that adaptation. Is it a cultural adaptation? Is it another kind of adaptation? So thinking through those allowable portions and how they are actually implementing and providing facilitators or others with tools to do that more effectively. So that was a very high-level overview of all of our approaches that we'll be testing as part of SIMR. Again, our solutions are just highlighted there. They are certainly not exhaustive. Some have about 20 solutions under it. So feel free to ask any questions in that chat function, and I'm happy to return to any slides or talk about anything else that I've covered. And with that in mind, I'll turn it back over to Sam.
Slide title, Q&A. An icon of two people with a question mark above them is displayed.
Great. Thanks so much, Dan. So now, as Dan said, we have time to answer any of your questions. I don't believe that we've received any questions from anybody quite yet.
Slide title, Interested in learning more about SIMR? The project website is displayed. www.mathematica.org/SIMR. The project email address is displayed. SIMR@mathematica-mpr.com.
And if you are from a program and are interested in participating, you can see here, you can learn more by visiting the website for the project listed here, mathematica.org/SIMR, and then also sending an email to the project inbox, which is simr@mathematica-mpr.com. and the project team can be in touch with you. We are definitely interested in hearing from programs that are interested, and as we mentioned, we'll be moving forward with some other ways to identify potential programs that might be interested in participating over the next few months. Okay, so I still think we haven't gotten any questions, which is great. Maybe you were very clear, and everybody has a great sense of how we're going to approach all of these goals in SIMR. Dan, is there anything else that you wanted to say before we wrap up?
No, I think you said I just wanted to highlight that if people want to hear more about it, going to the website or emailing Sam, Shirley, or myself, or our project director, Rob, is a great way.
Slide title. For more information. Email addresses appear. Samantha Alangasikra, SAMANTHAALANGASIKRA@acf.hhs.gov. Shirley Adelstein, SHIRLEY.ADELSTEIN@acf.hhs.gov. Rob Wood, RWOOD @MATHEMATICA-MPR.com. Daniel Friend, DFRIEND @MATHEMATICA-MPR.com.
And we'd love if anybody's operating a program and this sounds of interest to you, please don't hesitate to reach out. We'll be starting site selection relatively soon, so would love to hear from those that are interested. Thank you guys all for your time and attention today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks so much from us at OPRE as well on behalf of my colleague Shirley. We hope to engage with many of you in some way very soon.